Hello and welcome to another update video about Cardano. In this video we're going to take a look at what the Cardano price is doing and what the Bitcoin price is doing. We start with Bitcoin and then take a deeper look at Cardano. And also in this video I want to show you a very important similarity between the Cardano chart and the Solana chart. So that could be very interesting. And also I want to show you two strategies of how you can trade actually Cardano or potentially at the moment Bitcoin, just to give you an idea of two trading methods, and we're going to do that at the end of the video, so everybody who is not interested in that can obviously switch off. So let's start straight away with Bitcoin, and what we can take a look here at and what we can see is that Bitcoin obviously broke out of that zone here, broke through that resistance zone. We know that yesterday it happened, and today we actually touched the 55.5k. We broke above that swing high here and we're on our way up. To be honest, I still don't really like that structure, but maybe that is what Bitcoin uses to get out of this corrective phase. I still think it's still a bit of a shaky foundation that we've built here, to be honest. And you know, you need to be aware that I'm a little bit more conservative maybe than other people here on YouTube or in the crypto market. I always try to be sort of on the safe side, and it looks a bit shaky, that foundation here. I'm very honest with you, but you know, you never know in the crypto markets. But what can we see in terms of the indicators? So we can see that the MACD has made a bullish cross and has also crossed above the zero line. So that's a bullish signal. You know, the last time that happened was here. We are currently on the daily. And you know, when that happened here, that was on the 21st of July, we made some really nice gains here. You know that. And since then, we've actually always made lower lows on the MACD. Then there was a turning point here on the 11th of September where we've made higher lows on the MACD, and now we finally made that bullish cross. So that's a good sign for Bitcoin. There's another good sign, which is that golden cross. You know, we talked about it on this channel where the 50-day moving average crossed above the 200-day moving average. And again, last time that happened, whoops, I probably can't find it now, but it was somewhere back here. I think here on the 25th of May 2020, and you know what happened after that. We can easily see it on the charts here. So a very nice profit as well. However, we need to be aware that we are currently moving into the overbought range on the RSI. So that indicates that there could be some more, that now there could be a retracement after that price jump that we made. You know, there could be some retracement. We've obviously come up really, really fast, making higher highs here on the MACD, on the RSI, but now we are pretty much exactly at the 70 line. We seem to be bouncing off that 70 line at the moment, and between 50 and 70 is, you know, the bullish range, and above 70 is normally considered overbought. And you know, last time we got into that range was on the 30th of July. We were overbought then, and we've actually kept quite long in that overbought range, but overall it was a bearish divergence. You know, while the prices went up, we've made lower highs here actually on the RSI, which indicated already, and we talked about that all the time on this channel, that we were starting to roll over a little bit this market. So that was something to be aware of, and I was always a bit concerned that we made this round move, but you know, in the end we broke down a little bit. So that bearish divergence always is an indicator. But now we're making higher highs on the RSI, which is good. So it's just something to be aware of, and that there could be a retracement coming now, especially on the lower time frames. We're overbought as well. On the daily, however, we've made a long signal here on the ADX, you know, the directional movement indicators here. We have that green line crossing above the red, so it's actually a long signal, and that just indicates that yeah, we are in an uptrend. And the trend indicator, the white line here, is just, it came down, it's just turning around potentially, and we potentially go up as well in terms of the strength of the trend. And let's just take a final look here on the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, where we can see again that bullish cross here on the MACD that we made here. That was yesterday. Obviously on the shorter term time frames they swing around a little bit. On the RSI, however, now we are definitely in the overbought range here. We were already at 84, we're now at 82, so there is definitely some sort of retracement coming. That's also why we are currently stopping with that push to the upside. And it's just when you're on the shorter term time frames, you're overbought, and then on the longer term time frame as well, you know, you can very likely assume that there is now a temporary pause, at least in the uptrend, so a consolidation or a yeah, just a little bit of a sideways move so that these indicators can come down a little bit as well. But overall, the chart is looking good. I'm just not impressed with this structure. It just looks so odd. But let's see what's going to happen. I'm still not convinced that this is the final move to the upside. Maybe it is. You know, I could be totally wrong. It just looks so fishy. I must admit that. But maybe it's just me. Okay, let's go to Cardano. And Cardano is doing something very interesting. You know, a lot of people, again, still frustrated that Cardano isn't really moving. But we can see that descending trend line clearly coming down here. We've got the ascending trend line coming here. So, and when always these two trend lines meet, you get into this apex. The price is clearly adhering to that, and these are valid trend lines. The price is really getting squeezed into this apex, and we can see that, you know, we're sort of in the upper half of that, or there is a support line here at 213, and we're currently keeping above that level and getting really squeezed into the apex here. And that apex is currently sitting here on the 10th or 11th of October. So there's a few more days that we could move in that range, but I want to show you a similarity to the Solana chart, and you will see what I mean when I open the Solana chart. So here on the Solana chart, we had something very similar. I can also extend here that trend line that we had, the lower trend line on the Solana chart, down to where we started, you know, in July, August. And here with Cardano, we've got something very similar. So it was also August, July. And we can extend that to the current time frame here, to the current you know, weeks where we are, the current date. And with Solana, it's quite similar. We can also see that the Solana chart made something very, very similar. We came down in this corrective move, and then we were squeezed. We had a move to the upside, hit that upper side of the triangle, came down, touched the lower end, and then broke to the upside. Here with Cardano also, you know, we hit the upper side, came down, came up again, down, up. So there's a bit more sideways move, but we can see a very, very similar pattern, right? So I just want to show you. And eventually Solana broke to the upside. Yes, we hit that resistance line, and this is exactly the target that I gave you in the last video when I made the Solana video. You can see it with that blue, the white line here. I think that was a target line that I put here. And yeah, we hit that 175 level very, very exactly. You can see that how that higher, the upper wick, very, very nearly, very closely came to the, we actually came above 175. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. Anyway, it is just that similarity that we broke to the upside, and I just want to show you that similarity. It looks so close, so similar. So why would not Cardano potentially break to the upside as well? I mean, with Cardano, we are in an uptrend. You can see that with that ascending trend line here, which is a longer term trend line to the upside. You know, we are making higher lows here, you know, compared to where we started that trend line here, higher lows, and however, a lower high at the moment, but that is because we are pushed into this apex, and we are also above the 200-day moving average, which is a good sign. However, we're trading below the 50-day moving average. Now, at the time that Solana broke out, we were actually below, above the 50-day moving average. So it's just something to be aware of. We're also trading just below the 20-day moving average, which is currently providing some resistance here. But as I said, we are above the 200, so that is a good sign on a long-term uptrend. And I just expect that move to the upside if Bitcoin holds that level or gets a little bit higher. I did expect a move to the upside above Bitcoin when Bitcoin hits the 53K and breaks through. That did happen. However, the breakout of Cardano didn't happen. There was an attempted breakout, and if we zoom in, we can see how that's on the daily here, how Cardano today, it came all the way down here and it pushed all the way up when Bitcoin moved up as well and pushed to that 55.5K, but Cardano didn't manage to push through. And we're going to take a look at that on the shorter term time frames. However, let's just take a final look here at the indicators. They continue to look better and better. However, we have still on the MACD that we are still below the zero line, and it will take a moment until we break through. Cardano here making higher lows on the RSI, which is a good sign. We've got that breakout build up here before we break through the 50 line of the RSI, which is a good sign as well. I believe at some point we will hopefully break to the upside above 50. That would then get us into the bullish range, and whenever that happened, again, last time that happened was towards the end of July, and we pushed to the upside. And then here on the ADX, still a short signal, but we are also in that sideways movement here, so not really a trend at the moment, because we are just consolidating here and moving into that apex on that horizontal, in that horizontal move, really, in this up and down, but really just sideways into that apex here, which is currently sitting at 215 to 16 US dollars. Let's take a look at the hourly chart if we can see something a little bit more detail here. And what we can see on the hourly is again here this up and down. You can see it that we are sort of held in the upper half of that apex, of that triangle. We broke through briefly, but then pushed up again in the last hour, really. But you can see in the last few hours, but you can see how we are currently building up here for something. So maybe a breakout is really imminent. You can see that here, how the sellers can't push the price away anymore from that diagonal descending resistance line. So that is very interesting, and potentially that could lead to a breakout now finally to the upside. The other indicators here, also the MACD, just making a bullish cross here, or made a bullish cross, but we're just crossing the zero line, so that's good. And we just need to wait for that breakout, which hopefully eventually happens when we just have a little bit more patience. And I know a lot of people are frustrated, but I always emphasize the need to take a look at the long term, and the fact that Cardano is typically behind Bitcoin in these upwards moves. So that was the case back in July, and it took a while until Cardano really caught up on Ethereum as well, because I think when Cardano pushed up here on the 9th of August, when did Bitcoin do that? Let's take a look. Yeah, I mean, you can clearly see that. You can see the angle here, that it took really Cardano a while to really get into that steep angle here. That happened on the 9th of August, but Bitcoin got into that angle already on the 21st of July. So Bitcoin was steaming ahead. So you could see something similar potentially now. Bitcoin steaming ahead really, then potentially losing momentum, while Cardano just needs to catch up. So I just want to show you two trading strategies. Again, no financial advice, but I just wanted to show you two things here that I also teach on my technical analysis channel that you can find. You can find a link in the description, but there's two ways of how you can trade, generally trade, but also especially that work with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So I just take a look here at the Bitcoin chart, because that is currently in that short-term uptrend here. So it is very good to show you that. And I just take out these lines here. And what I want to show you, I want to apply the 50-day moving averages here. And I take one 50-day moving average, which is that blue line, and I change it a little bit to the lows. So we're taking the lows of the candle, is that, and then the other one here is the 50-day moving average as well. But what I then want to do is I take the highs of the candles, and you've got the blue and the yellow line here, and we go to the daily chart because I want to show it to you on the daily. And this is an awesome strategy, because the 50-day moving average is generally respected also in the crypto market. So you can see it back in that upward movement here that we saw throughout the beginning of 2021, how the 50-day moving average provided support all the time in the uptrend. And then when we broke the lower 50-day moving average here, so we've got, as I said, I've got this 50-day moving average channel now. I have one line that is just sort of the highs of the candles, and the other one is the lows of the candles, and these lines will never cross. But what you can do is, when you it is a potential trade entry as soon as this 50-day moving average is crossed to the upside. So back here in October 2020, that would have been a trade entry, and it provided support all the way through until, and that is when you would have exited the trade here in April 2021, when the lower moving average was crossed to the downside, and it would have proven very, very well. And again, we had that happening here. That was on the 26th of July. You would have entered the trade here and probably at, let me just show you, that would have happened here at the value of around to 30,000. And you would have exited the trade here at 45k. So a very nice profit in a very short period. And now we've crossed above the 50-day moving average again. So that would have been a buy signal. I haven't done it. because I'm just waiting for a little bit more confirmation. And there are obviously different ways of doing trading, not just using one indicator, but it is one strategy that can be applied, and that would have been a buy signal, and I think it's still valid. But the thing is, you would then not exit the trade until that lower 50-day moving average is crossed again to the downside. Now, there is always a risk that these are fake outs as well, but so far you can see it on the Bitcoin chart. This has proven very, very well. Yeah, and that is one strategy. The other strategy, and we can apply that potentially to the Cardano chart. The others, and let me just take out these indicators. The other strategy is to add to the chart something that's called the Bollinger Band width. So the Bollinger Band width, that is an indicator that just takes basically the width of the Bollinger Bands, and I won't go into detail what the Bollinger Bands are here. I made a video about that on my other channel. And let me just take out that line as well, just a bit annoying. And what you basically do, again, it works on every time frame, but for longer term trading, I guess the daily is quite suitable. So what you do, you adjust it a little bit, and there you go. You can see, you clearly see these peaks on the Bollinger Band width. And typically when you had a peak, the price either broke to the upside strongly or it broke to the downside. And it is a strategy to apply a horizontal line here, for example, right? And you can see these lower peaks. I hope I explained that well, but you can see the lower peaks here. So there you go. And you have a near enough horizontal line here. And a strategy would be to enter a trade whenever you cross that line here to the upside, right? So the last time that, for example, happened was here on the 11th of August, 12th of August, and that allows you to get very early potentially into a trade. So you can see that here, and then you would have exited the trade when you crossed it again to the downside, and that would have been a very nice trade, and I'll show it to you in a minute. And it's a very good indicator because, again, you can see there were no false breakouts to the upside, really, you know, not really. So again here, let me just show that last one, which started actually, I mean, the uptrend started here on the 22nd of July. And however, here you would have entered, that cross happened on the 11th of August. And that is when you would have entered. And again, you had a price here of, depending on when on the day, there's quite a bit of volatility. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Potentially here at around 170, yeah, you would have entered the trade, and then you would have exited the trade here at 280. So that is one great way, trading these breakouts of the Bollinger Bands width indicator, right? It happened here as well. There you go. Now that was a very, very strong downtrend as well, yeah. So it was a very, very strong peak and everything. And however, it is certainly very, very good as a trade entry. And again, here you would have entered somewhere here at around 150, and you know, it's not always advisable to wait until, you know, when it's going down to really wait for that cross again. There are obviously other ways to determine when a uptrend is ending, for example, bearish divergences or lower highs, you know, things like that. So it is only one indicator, but it is certainly a really good strategy, and it worked here back here as well in February. So there you go. You would have entered here at somewhere around 45 cents, and you could have exited here at $1, yeah, at $1, for example, or you could have stayed in the trend, whatever. But it is a very, very good indicator, that breakout here, because these breakouts, when these breakouts of the Bollinger Bands width indicator, they have always indicated really a strong push to the upside, and you can see that at the moment we're actually quite far away from that. So I'm going to track that certainly, and I hope I'll remember it. But yeah, definitely if I can see that breaking, I will certainly keep you updated, because historically, you know, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, certainly it has been a very, very reliable indicator. And I would need to go back here and really adjust the height really to see if that would have been, but as you can see, it's completely different back here. Because we talk about completely different values back here. But yeah, let me just take that look. And yeah, you can see it here as well. Peak here, another peak here. That might have been a false one here, but we didn't really, a little bit of a false one here as well. But again, if you adjust that, because we talk here about cents, right? So it's completely different. There you go, another small breakout. Then you've got another big one here. And in trading, you know, you never get every single trade right. But if you get more than 50, 60, 70% right, that's certainly, that would have been a really good one here. So yeah, then you're good. And yeah, these were just two ways of trading that work with cryptocurrencies as well. Again, no financial advice, and these are only two methods of doing it. There are so many different ways, and when you're trading, you obviously need to develop your own trading strategy. But yeah, in this video I showed you obviously the Bitcoin price, Cardano price, which is breakout is imminent. Maybe it's happening now. We're at 225 now, just as I make this video. So let me just go into the hourly just to see that. And then I showed you obviously the Solana chart, which is so similar. That breakout was so similar to the Cardano chart, the Solana chart and the Cardano chart, that breakout. And then I showed you two ways of actually trading cryptocurrencies. And I hope that video was useful. If you liked it, please smash the like button and consider even a channel membership if you really like the content. It would be really great. I appreciate every support, and yeah, please share the video. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.